Okay, for those that are interested, during this whole process of figuring out a few of the faults that were present electrically on the car, I decided to buy a diagnostic tool, a code reader. And there you could spend half of your life researching code reader, diagnostic tools that are capable of doing not very much, and some which are capable of doing everything down to, everything a dealer can do. For the average DIYer like myself, you're going to want to choose something in between, something really crap and something really great. Unless you've got an unlimited budget, but if you've got an unlimited budget, you're probably not a DIYer, are you? So, long story short, I opted for this little tool, which is a handy little thing from Autel. Autel are quite a good manufacturer of diagnostic tools. That they seem to cover quite a lot of manufacturers. Not all of them, and I'm sure the capabilities vary across the different brands as well. But for European cars, BMW, Mercedes, Mini, Land Rover, they cover all the kind of cars I've had before, and probably most of the ones I'm likely to buy as well. So the model I chose to go for is the MD802, and the thing that's good about this is, one, they're going pretty cheap these days. I got mine for £130. It's the all systems version. Be careful, they do one which is 4 systems, and when they say 4 systems, they mean it'll cover 4 things in the car, like powertrain, body, chassis, or something like that. And that's a bit crap, because for only a little bit more, you can have the all systems one, which does a deep diagnostics capability. So it'll read all of the individual little control modules across the car, and that is what I wanted. There's loads of features that I kind of wish it could have had, and if I'd wanted to spend £200, £300, I could have had one of those readers. But not knowing how much all my repairs were going to cost, you got to be, you got to control your budgets a little bit. So if you're looking to track down faults and clear those faults as well across almost any module in the car, this will do it. And it'll give you a pointer to track your fault down as well. It's kind of really difficult to track down where the fault may be. I mean, you can do just voltage checks and continuity checks yourself with just a multimeter. But when you want to start pinning down which control modules are getting power, which ones have registered an intermittent fault, which ones are registering permanent faults, clear those faults, start the car again, other faults reappearing, this kind of tool will show you all that stuff. It will log live data as well when the car's running, so you can trend things as well. I haven't used that feature yet, but it does do it. Let me just show you how it works, just very briefly. So you get this nice little carry case. In the box, there is a CD as well, which isn't there now. There's a user manual, which I've read a little bit of, and not all of it. Get your OBD2 cable, which just plugs straight in down by your footwell. And your tool. You have to update it when you first get it. That's something worth pointing out. You just need to load the CD and register with us, on the website and stuff, and update the reader, and then away you go. So let's plug it in and see what it does. Okay, so on F10, F11, the OBD2 port is down by your feet, by the accelerator pedal. So just go and plug that in, and I've already done that. There's the cable that goes into the top of the reader just here. Let's just turn the ignition on for a second. Turn the sound off. So I'm not going to screw the terminals in because it's strong enough to just stay on. So first of all, just plug it in. There's a bunch of things it does. It'll do the electronic parking brake. It'll do oil resets and stuff like that. So I'm just going to do a scan, because the thing that I've used mostly is going to the scan feature. We need to tell it that it's a European car. We need to tell it that it's looking at a BMW car. It's going to process for a second. It's going to tell me to turn the ignition off, and then turn it back on again in a second. Let's go down to tell it that it's an F10, F11 type car. And now it should start to talk. So, okay, so we can either do an auto scan, or we can tell it to look at particular control units. So if we know which unit we want to go and look at, if we're particularly just looking at one part of the car that's got a fault, then we go there. But if you want to do an auto scan, it takes a few minutes to do an auto scan, so I might just fast forward this, but I'll show you what it does. It'll read every module. Now, I should have some faults because earlier today I plugged and unplugged a few relays, and that should list quite a lot of faults because it would have turned off and on some of the modules, many modules actually across the car. So it just begins its scan now, and it'll scan through every single system. There we go, I've already got a fault showing there. And I'll let it whiz on, and then we'll come back to it in just a second. Okay, now back to the beginning. So it tells you over here, what's the module? Is it a pass, or has it got some faults? So if you can see there, it says fault and then 1, because there's one fault displayed with the CAS system. Now, I unplugged a relay connected to the DDE, which is just on the just in front of the steering wheel in the under the bonnet, under the hood. So let's just display what the fault is. If we press this button here, it'll tell us what's the problem. Message, intermittent, incorrect receiver, blah, 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 just because I unplugged something basically. And in truth, I'm hoping that as we go through all these modules and see all these faults, all of them except one should disappear, because one of them won't. Oh no, we don't want to quit. One of them that won't go away is because I think the memory or something is full in one of the modules. So, quick way now when you've completed some work, just to clear, because once you start plugging and unplugging things, you'll generate all sorts of faults that aren't actually faults. We can just do a quick erase. If we quick erase, it'll whiz through, erase everything, and if there is a persistent fault, it'll still come back again anyway. So we can do ourselves a quick erase here, and it'll go through each module, erasing the faults, and then we'll see what's passed and what's failed just in the second. And there we go, that last one there is ZGM Central Gateway Control Module. That's the fault. If we go and have a look at it, it's a permanent fault, central fault memory, no control unit fault. So there's no fault, but the fault memory is full because it's registered, I don't know, loads of faults. I guess, doesn't seem to actually cause a problem as far as I'm aware, unless anyone that knows more than me can tell me. But there we go, everything else has passed. No more faults registered, but if there were, and this was the case when I was diagnosing problems, you just go through and then you can go and look into each module and see what the fault is, and then narrow down what you're looking at. And that's it in a nutshell. Let's quit that. It does a bunch of other things, but there'll be better tutorials than mine to show you what they do. That's just what I've decided to go for. It's just a handy little diagnostic tool, and it'll work on other cars as well. Happy days.